Hi everybody, this is Jo Cottrell from Dog Trouble, and we rescue, rehabilitate and rehome dogs in the UK and from Greece. And I support the rescues in Zakynthos, Healing Paws, Anti-Strays and Zorf. And sometimes we have some challenges with dogs that get rehomed directly from the shelter in Greece that are really fearful or insecure or just shut down. So what I thought I'd do is do a video on the first 24, 48 hours and what's essential for you to do to enable your dog to just decompress and just get used to you guys. So the first thing is you want to make sure that you've got a crate so they have a safe space to be in. A crate or an area that is fairly quiet. The second thing you want to do is make sure that you have a long line and just keep a long line on them for usually the first couple of weeks until they start to trust you, until they start to follow you, and you're able to get a lead on them without them running away and hiding. So I'm just going to take you through a typical scenario that we have where you might have a dog that's insecure or fearful and you're struggling to get them out of their crate or area, take them outside for a wee, struggling to get them on a lead even. So I'm going to take you through some top tips in how I do that so that it will help you to not overthink, not worry, and not kind of get stressed about, is the dog okay? I'm worried that they haven't gone to toilet. I'm worried that they're not eating. I'm worried that they're just staying in their crate. The most important thing to remember is you know, dogs will survive a number of days without eating. As long as they drink, they've got access to water. But you want to start just getting the dog to learn to trust you. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to use Maggie May here. So Maggie has been with me about a year and she's fast asleep now. But Maggie was one of those dogs that was really, really fearful, and she didn't know how to go on a lead. She didn't want to come out of her crate. I literally had to pretty much drag her out into the garden, and it took ages for her to go to toilet. Thank you, Chino. It took ages for her to go to toilet, and I had to often walk up and down the garden to get her to go to toilet. Enough. Lie down. Lie down. Good boy. Enough. So I'm just going to show you how we do this. So if you've got a dog that's just really shut down and fearful and isn't aggressive, then you can go and put the lead on in their crate. So I just use a 3 meter long line, and all I'm going to do here is just make the loop nice and big, and then we're just going to slip it over her head, and she's used to this now. And make sure you just push that stopper all the way down, because that's what keeps it around their neck. Now, it's important to understand that when dogs are in a fearful state, they're not going to take food. So there's no point trying to coax them with food. It's not going to work. They're not going to be interested in food. So all I'm going to do here is just stand slightly away from the kennel. So I'll just show you from this angle. And I'm just going to do a little pressure release technique. So you can see I'm just going to tighten the lead. Come on, Maggie May, let's go. And then release. Okay, so I'm just going to do it in little motions. Come on, Maggie, let's go. And it will feel a little bit like you're dragging them. Come on, Maggie May. Good girl. And then as she gets up, I'm just going to put some pressure on and release. So you're not constantly putting pressure on the lead, it's just pressure release. Good girl. And then as soon as she gets up, I'm going to start walking, okay? And I'm not going to interact with her. I'm not going to talk to her. I'm not going to try and give her food. The idea is that we just walk and she starts to follow. And all I'm doing is just walking away from her. So you'll get a little bit of a shutdown again. Come on, Maggie. So just pressure, release, pressure, release. And then as soon as she unlocks, you release that pressure. And then all I'm doing is just walking around the garden and she's just following. Okay, so I'm not talking to her, I'm not trying to touch her, I'm not interacting with her at all. All I want her to do at the moment is just follow me. Come on, Maggie May. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Come on, Maggie. So what Maggie will do occasionally is she'll just sit down and she'll just put the brakes on. Let's go. Good girl, Maggie. Let's go. So pressure release, and just keep walking. As soon as they release, you've just got to keep walking. And then I might just change my angle a little bit. Good girl. Good girl. So I'm going to keep doing that until, until they go for a wee. Now, if you've got a really secure garden, and you've got to make sure it's secure because rescue dogs can get out through the tiniest of holes or the highest of fences, then what you can do is you can just drop the long line and you can just walk away, because quite often dogs that feel vulnerable will not eat, they will not go to toilet. So if you are within the vicinity of them, they probably won't eat, they probably won't go to toilet. So what you can do is just drop the long line, and you can see how she's following me now. You can just drop the long line and walk away, and then just keep an eye on whether they go to the toilet. But don't panic if they don't, because they might not for the first day or first 2 days. And then what we're going to do, if she starts to run away from me, I'm just going to put my foot on the long line. There we go. And I'm not going to give her eye contact, I'm not going to talk to her, I'm not going to touch her, but I'm just calmly going to let her go back into her kennel. So you can see she goes into a little bit of flight. So quite often they will accelerate back into their safe spot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the long line on her. Okay. Now if I've got a crate, then I can shut the door. If I want to keep the dog in there, I can just shut the door and leave the long line loose. So when I come to open the door, I can just pick up that long line and walk away again, and off I go, okay? Or you can leave the door open if it's a dog that's really not going to come out. Then what I've got here is I've got her water here, and then what I will do is leave food in overnight, because quite often dogs that have been in shelters abroad will eat overnight because it's quiet, it's safe, it's dark. Certainly when dogs come into your home, they won't necessarily eat during the daytime, particularly if you're around. So just leave a bowl of food in their kennel, in their crate overnight, and hopefully they will eat. But the key thing to remember is these dogs are used to being in an environment usually with other dogs. So if you've got another dog in your household, use that dog as a mentor, as a teacher. Have that dog in the vicinity of your new dog. Or if you've got friends with, nice dogs, get them to come round, bring the dog round, and just have the dog there, because quite often it will help unlock your dog, because they trust other dogs. Unless they've got a history of not being sociable with dogs, they trust other dogs. So quite often, if you've got other dogs around, that dog will trust the other dogs, and they will help that dog to come out a little bit and become more confident. So if you've got another dog, use another dog, bring them round into your house, use them to help unlock your new dog. The key thing is not to overthink, not to worry. Dogs are animals. They think differently to humans. All they need in order to survive is to eat, sleep, and drink. That's it. So as long as they've got access to food and water, quite often they need a week or two just to decompress, because they've come out of a completely different environment into a new environment that quite often they've not experienced before. So it takes sometimes a couple of weeks for them to completely decompress. Now, if you've got a dog who is really shut down, and even when you put a lead on them, they're fighting the lead or they're just not moving at all, then you're going to have to go in and pick the dog up, as long as that dog's safe to do so. So you'll have to pick them up, and then when you get outside, you can pop a long line on them and then just walk them around the garden. If they won't walk, they just sit or lay down frozen. Then again, just drop the long line. If you've got a secure garden, then they can just be out in the garden whilst you're in the vicinity but not right with them, and just observe them. But you might have to do that, as I say, for the first couple of weeks. With Maggie, I had to put her on a long line every time I wanted her to go to toilet, and it took me sometimes 20 minutes for her to go to toilet, and I was literally just walking around the garden going, go wee wees, go wee wees. And then I'd drop the long line, and then I'd sort of, look behind through the corner of my eye, and I'd notice that she'd be going to the toilet. So don't get stressed, all right? They will be fine, but it just takes a long time, okay? Alrighty, give us a shout if you need some help, but hopefully that will be helpful, and good luck. It's worth it in the end. These dogs need you to be patient, to be calm, to be consistent, and they will come good in the end. Alrighty guys, take care. Bye bye.